Welcome to another 10 to 20 with Tanya. Have you ever thought, why can't I get past the intermediate English level? Why am I stuck here? Why is it that my English is not getting better? Today, that's what I want to talk about. But in case we haven't met before, I'm Tanya. I'm the creator of our She Speaks English Fluency program for women. And here at English Coach 3Ts, we really want you to understand that you are not necessarily stuck. If you're practicing, if you're doing things to try speaking and writing and reading, and today you're listening, then you're not stuck. Even just being here listening is helping you to improve your English. So, why does it feel like I'm stuck and what can I do? I have 4 things I want to share with you. And the first one is the old way, the old way of learning English doesn't necessarily work for everyone. So, what I mean when I say that is it might work for some people, a very small group of people, but it doesn't work for most people. So, it's very likely that you might be doing things that aren't moving you forward. And so, it's important, no matter what you're doing, to look at what you're doing every now and then and see, is this working for me? I do this in my English, or pardon me, my Spanish practice. There are times when I'm doing things and it just feels like I'm going nowhere. My wheels are spinning and I'm not actually moving forward. And that's a really good time to take a look and see, is what I'm doing working? But it isn't the only time to look at that. So let me tell you about that here in just a second. Hello, Suna. I see Suna has sent a message. If you're here listening live, let me know where you're listening from. If this is your first time or if you've been here before, let me know. Good to see you, Marana from Italy near Rome. It's awesome to have you here. I know it's evening there for you. It's morning here for me. That's why I've got my first cup of tea here, my favorite type of tea, good earth tea. You may have heard me talk about this before. So, another thing about taking a look at what you're doing. This is something I have a goal to do 4 times a year. Now, that doesn't mean I always do it 4 times a year. Sometimes it's 3 times a year, sometimes only 2 times a year, usually at least twice, but definitely at least once. We're coming up on the new year here, and everybody will be setting goals, and that's great if that's what works for you. But maybe you're the kind of person that setting a goal doesn't work for you. Maybe you need a different type of goal setting. Maybe there's something different that you need to do. And this is so, so, so very, very important. This is why I created the She Speaks Fluency program. And if you're interested in that, the first step is to take my free class for women. And in this free class, I'm going to help you with 3 things you can start doing right away to start looking at what you could be doing differently that might help you to start improving your English faster so that you can feel the difference. If you'd like information about that, the link is in the description below. So let's talk about number 2. No one way of learning works for everyone. You agree? SB says, this one's the most important. I agree. SB, come sit up here. Come sit up here. Good girl. Lie down. Lie down. So I sort of talked about this before, but I want to emphasize that just because something works for someone else, your friend, even your teacher, doesn't mean it's going to work for you. It is so important to find what works for you, to try different things until you find what works for you. This is another thing that I help students with in our fluency program, in my free class for women, in my individual lessons. And this is what I encourage the people who teach for me to also help their students with. So if you are having lessons with Tiana or with me, you're getting help finding out what works for you specifically. Number 3 is you might be, in fact, I would say you probably are already improving your English and you don't know it. Like I said at the beginning of this video, are you reading? Are you writing? Are you practicing speaking? I know you're practicing listening because you're listening to me right now. If you're doing these things at a level that works, then you are improving, even if it doesn't feel like it. So, what is the level that works? Let's talk about that. First, let me look at all these great messages I'm getting live. And if you're listening to the recording, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Ida is at work. Hello from Mexico. Welcome, Guatemala. Valladolid. I'm not sure if I said that right. In Spain, Paris, uh, all over the world, Brazil, Mexico City, Yemen. Welcome, everyone. One person asked how I'm doing. I'm doing well. You may have known that I was sick a couple of weeks ago. I'm still really low energy from being sick, meaning that I'm feeling a lot better, but I really can't do a lot. I'm back here on YouTube. You may have noticed I was gone for a couple of weeks. I was sick. Before that, I got attacked by bees. I'm creating a video about the attack from the bees, which was really not fun. But I'm better overall. So I'm glad to be back here. Thank you for asking. Regnum says, you've been offline for so long. I was about to call LAPD to file a missing persons report. I'm here. I have been on Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, I recommend that because often when I can just do 30 seconds or a tiny little bit of something, I'll put it on Instagram. Doing stuff here on YouTube takes a lot more time and energy, but I love having you here on YouTube because really, I think that back to our topic, using YouTube is one of the best ways to improve your English. The important thing is finding the level that works for you, finding the things to listen to that work for you. So I have 2 things to consider for you. You want to listen to a lot of things that you understand 95% or more. I'm drinking my tea because my voice gets tired really easily. So 95% or more. If you can understand almost everything I am saying, this is the perfect thing for you to be listening to improve your English listening skills and speaking skills, grammar, pronunciation, all of those things. But if you're listening to something that you barely understand, there's nothing wrong with that. You can listen to things that you only understand 70% or 80%. In fact, I do this in my German language journey because it's very difficult for me to find comprehensible input, which is what I wrote before, 95% or more comprehensible input. And if you've been with me long, you've heard me talk about this a lot because it's one of the main things that learners don't know a lot about. And also, it's one of the things we have been misled about. Teachers didn't know the importance of it until more recently. And so, as teachers, we encouraged you to listen to things that may have been too difficult for you. Now, back to that. When I listen to things in German that I understand only 70 or 80%, I know that if I'm listening to, let's say, a half an hour of that, I may only be getting 5 minutes of benefit or less. So you could say it's a waste of your time. It depends on how you look at it. For me, I really want to learn German. If I find something very interesting, like what I listened to yesterday about Oktoberfest, it's not only interesting, the visual parts are interesting. I can pick out words and hear sounds. I know that I'm not getting the benefit of listening to something where I understand more. I don't do that a lot. I I maybe 10% or less of the time, just a little bit. Your goal is to look for things you understand or enjoy something occasionally that you don't understand as much. Or my point number 2, which is if you're listening to something, you only understand, let's say 80, 85%, you're getting close. So, what I would recommend then is slow down, pause if you need to give your brain a chance to catch up and watch things where the teacher or the person speaking will help you to understand. This is something I do a lot on my live videos and my story videos. If you haven't watched my story videos, the link is in the description, and I really recommend those because I give you pictures and words on the screen to help you understand even more. So I'm curious, as you are listening right now, how much do you understand? How much do you understand of what I am saying? Let me know in the comments. This will help me to know how to use the words that I'm using. Welcome, Bob Newell. It's great to see you. Cheers. I also love Earl Grey tea. In fact, this is what I have in my iced tea. You probably don't drink it iced. Americans love to drink iced tea. But for my morning cup of hot tea, I'm drinking Good Earth, and sometimes I drink Earl Grey. Welcome from Russia. Thank you, Regnum. I am feeling better. I'm so glad to be back with you. Suna says drink a ginger and lemon tea. I've been doing that. I know that's really a great thing. So Rajane understands 90%, Alexander 100%, Shallow 90%, Sammy 100%, Lourdes 70%, Callum 90 to 95, Magali 90, Ellen 90. Inez says she loves my explanation. Rita 95%. Okay, this tells me that I'm right in the place that I want to be speaking so that you can understand most of what I'm saying. If you said 90 to 95%, then what I recommend is when I post this as a recording, listen to it again. If you said 70% to 90%, what I recommend is after this, just relax. And then tomorrow or the next day, listen to it again in small pieces. So, in other words, listen to 2 or 3 minutes and think about it. Did you understand it? And then listen to another 2 or 3 minutes. That will help you to understand more. Also, I don't know why SB is barking in the background, but we'll let her take care of whatever that is. You can, once this is a recording, which I will post this as a recording in just a few minutes, you can slow it down. And I recommend doing this occasionally, not a lot, not every time, but sometimes you could listen to it and slow down the speed. Also, you can listen to other videos I have with subtitles that will really help. And I love having you here, Lourdes. So I'm so glad you're here. And Martin, who's understanding 70% from Uruguay. Christine, welcome. 110%. That's fabulous. It's so great to have you all here. Bob Newell says, do you have a favorite brand, Twining or Bigelow? This is actually a brand, Mr. Bob Newell. This brand, Good Earth, is a California brand. I don't know if you can see if I hold it closer that it is a California brand. It says since, oh my gosh, the writing is so small I can't see. Maybe if I put it on here, you can see where it says California since I think 1973. I have been loving this tea for most of my life. And this is the original. It's called Sweet and Spicy, but they do have others that I also enjoy. But this almost never. I almost always drink this one. Mm, mm, mm. All right. So did I finish with my number 3? I think I did finish my number 3. Let's go to number 4. You might not want to hear number 4. I'm just going to tell you ahead of time, you might not like what I have to say with number 4. But as you know, I just want to be honest with you so that you know what to do. And number 4 is it takes a lot of time to become fluent, not 30 days, not 90 days. Now, in 30 to 90 days, you can learn a lot. You could get to the point where you can be conversational and have easy, simple conversations. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that's a really, really good thing. And the people who are online saying that, some are not telling the truth. Others are spending 8 to 10 hours a day. Now, if you have 8 to 10 hours a day to practice your English, that's great. In fact, I have had goals where I have spent 2 hours a day on my Spanish, and it really helped me. I did that over several months, and it made a big difference. But for me, that's not sustainable, meaning I can't keep doing it. So you need to find what you can keep doing for a long time. And I'm talking about years, at least 1 or 2 years or 3 years. For me, in Spanish, it took me more than 6 years to reach my goal of being able to have a meaningful conversation. What I mean is to be able to talk about almost anything, things that are important to me, and to be able to express what is important to me. I don't mean that I could do it perfectly. I don't mean that I could do it without mistakes. I mean that I could do it comfortably. And doing it comfortably also involves the way you think about yourself, your confidence. So there's so much to this. I hope that if you are a woman who is struggling with this, you will consider taking my free class for women. And if you are anyone who is struggling with this, I hope that you will keep listening, consider some of our other classes, and encourage each other so that you can become fluent and you can feel comfortable with your speaking skills, your listening, your reading skills. Okay, let me see what everyone is saying. The problem is, Filena says, the problem is that I perfectly understand you, but I feel frustrated when I watch several films because I miss lots of real English. You might be listening to things that are too difficult for you, Filena. So, what I recommend is listening to more of the things you understand and little by little introduce the things you understand less of. This is what I've been doing in Spanish, and it has really helped me. It's also good for your confidence, and it will help you a lot to be able to understand the things you do want to understand. Also, you may need to practice more often, more regularly, or more consistently. All right. Gabrielle says it's their first time here in Palm Springs. We're so close to each other, Gabrielle. I can't say your name. Gabrielle. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Oh my gosh. All right. Now, I know that everyone here is really wanting to improve their English. So if you have more time to listen right now, I recommend that you go watch my video called why is learning English so hard for me? The link is below. And when YouTube lets me, I will put a link right here on the screen. And I just want to thank you for being here with me today. I hope that I answered your question or you learned something new, and I'll see you very soon.